How introspective do you want your characters to be? This comes again with the previous question about prose. It's okay as long as it's not overly exaggerated and every single detail is questioned. As a writer myself, I noticed that also, that I am kind of repeating. I have this kind of a pattern where the character is having an inner monologue and is thinking about other characters or stuff that happened, and she is questioning a lot of things, but there is not enough answers. That is one of the things I'm gonna be fixing in my second draft, because I think it starts to repeat too much and it might become annoying, and I'm sure an editor would say that you have to change that, because your character has to not only question things but also do some kind of resolutions. A character has to decide what is his or her opinion on things that are happening to him or around him, and later in the plot these opinions matter. Next question: how do you like your relationships? Platonic, romantic, friendships, family relationships? For me, I would say give them all. I love strong friendships, and some interesting family dynamics are also nice. One thing I noticed, there's a lot of this kind of a cliche that, for example, a brother and sister dislike each other. I don't know if it's a Hollywood thing or something, but that is one of the things that are repeating a lot. And for example, I have a brother and he's awesome. I love him and I don't even think about a possibility to dislike him, so I don't understand where this is coming from. Maybe it's just me. So family dynamics are always interesting, especially these quirky families, not dysfunctional families. Also, I think more books should have older people, elderly people, especially that is in YA fantasy. It always feels like that only teenagers are running the world. There's always, I know this is the genre itself says that, young adult, but I think there should be more older people in the books, because teenagers don't know everything in the world and they are still learning, even though 17 is this kind of a bridge between being a new adult and a teenager. But at that age, people do a lot of stupid things and they don't understand a lot of things, and YA fantasy should move away from overly adult teenagers, because that's not how the real life works. That's why there should be more nice father figures, mother figures. I don't know, maybe that's just the books that I chose to read, or just what we get here in Lithuania, or it's a problem of a genre. I'm not sure, but yeah, let's discuss that in the comments down below. What do you think? Romantic relationships, on the other hand, are important. At least for me, I love when they are included. And also it depends on what kind of relationship is that. If it's this so-called cheesy relationship, sometimes it's okay if the overall book is very light and just, you know, the humorous book or stuff. I read some of those before and it really elevated my emotions at that time, and it was really nice reading them. But in a more serious setting, it's nice when the relationship is done nicely and healthily. There's way too many books that are showing unhealthy relationships, abusive relationship, and that has to stop. There's lots of booktubers who are talking about that. I myself would love to recommend one booktuber in particular. She's called Authentic Observer. I started following her channel when I kind of came across of her videos about City of Bones, the Shadowhunter series. I never read those. I don't think they were released. Maybe one book was released in our country. And I was watching this TV series at the time, and I should not get into details, but yeah, I haven't read those books. And I don't want to read them. And I'm happy that I came across her page, because she explained it so well in all of those videos, talking about this abuse and incest and all this ugly stuff that should stop in YA fantasy. It's not normal. So these kind of relationships, they leave a very important mark on young people's minds. They should be showing healthy things. Of course, the life is not all, roses and with the pink glasses on your eyes, but when you're young, you have to learn from good examples, not from bad examples. Also, I don't like romantic plot lines when they are showing very non-realistic things, because people change when they have a crush or when they are in love. People change how they talk, people change how they act around certain people, and it leaves an impact. It doesn't matter if it's a breakup or it's a healthy relationship, it has an impact on a person's behavior. So when the book is showing everything realistically, these small steps, small things that happen, the small things that you notice when you are crushing over someone or trying to figure out if someone likes you, I love this kind of stuff, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Sadly, I don't see too many platonic relationships in books. Maybe I'm confusing those with the friendships, but I don't know, it might be just my books that I have, or I just don't remember a good example right now. Next question, how do you like your descriptions? Descriptions are important, but they cannot be info dumps. I myself am trying to learn this way of describing things with as little words as you can. As I talked before, when choosing over plot-driven and character-driven books, for me, descriptions are most important for immersion. They have to use more than one or two senses. Just hearing and seeing things is not enough. I try to include in my books smells, or how some kind of textures are feeling, for example, books, or your bed sheets or curtains. These small things, but they are important for immersion. Good descriptions also create an atmosphere, and sometimes, depending on the plot, characters could feel, this heavy feeling, or the atmosphere could be very light and positive. So a good description is very important for that. So as long as the description is not an info dump, as long as it's conveyed through the character's eyes and what they are feeling, it's very good with immersion and atmosphere. Because I have an example of a book that I kind of liked, but there was some things description-wise that lots of people talked about, and that is from another booktuber, author-tuber I should say, Jenna Morrissey, her book The Savior's Champion. People noticed one thing, that her character, who is an artist, is not exactly seeing the world as an artist. It could be a problem of writer herself. I don't want to bash this book, but yeah. Next question. Do you prefer standalones or series? Lately, I would say I prefer standalones. Maybe because in the past I was reading quite a lot of series, and right now I already have quite a few series started and still waiting for the next sequels to be released. So, sometimes it's nice just to be finished with the book and know the ending and just, be done with it. Next question. single point of view or multiple point of views? For me, I would say multiple point of views, as long as it's not too many. 1, 2, 3, it's okay. The last book that I enjoyed and it had multiple point of views, and I have to say multiple point of views from the first person perspective, it was A Heart So Fierce and Broken. It had 2 main characters and 2 more who were main characters in the previous book. So I loved the story. I loved how the dynamic went, because the characters were traveling together, so you could see the same stuff happening from both of their eyes, and you could see different thinking and different understanding of the situation, and it was really nice. Another book that I should mention is Six of Crows duology, because it had 6 point of views from third person. I enjoyed these books a lot, but sometimes it was too much, all these different point of views, especially in the moments of real action, in the climax of the story, when you want to be fully immersed in what is happening, and suddenly you have this jumping between characters who are in different locations, and maybe the pacing of the whole situation of theirs is different from the other characters, and at that moment the pacing starts to feel off, and you just want to be with your favorite character in the midst of the action, and that is bad news if the pacing starts to feel off. I, as a writer myself, am writing my book in 1 point of view, from the first person, and I've been kind of thinking maybe I should try writing it in 2 point of views, 2 characters, because when I read the first draft, some details of the situations that are happening are missing, because some stuff happens only in the head of my character, and what is happening outside, for example, for a day, I will not say what is that, it's kind of missing some details of what is happening outside of her head. And in the second book, I also noticed that there are gaps, kind of gaps that it's difficult to bridge, and the story is just going day by day, and it feels like nothing important happens, even though my character is struggling with some stuff. And and this second character, I think it would bring more clarity of what is happening. It might remove the mystery element in some points, so I should be very careful if I ever decide to do the second draft with 2 point of views. Yeah, but for me, as I said, multiple point of views, I would say it's more interesting to read, especially in these very adventurous stories and heist stories. And yeah, and final question, do you prefer strong start, middle or finish? For me, the strong middle is most important, because that's where all hell breaks loose and plot thickens and new characters are introduced and there's new conflicts and character development happens. I can bear a weaker start of a book as long as it's not dragging too much. Some series suffer from this middle book or second book syndrome, where the middle book is much weaker than the first one. And when the middle is very strong, your series or your standalone story finish is so much more satisfying. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I would like to know your bookish preferences. Let's talk in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye bye!